Welcome everybody to the AI Agent Show. This is your host Ryan Staley, and I have a very special guest with me today. I have Daryl Kelly. DK is the
Yo,
father of Olivia and Noah, husband and chief executive officer of Aspect, which is a global leader in workforce engagement technology. Daryl's got some cool things that he's done. Okay, so this is why I'm super excited. He's a three-time founder, angel investor, podcast host like myself, 9X board member, former photojournalist, which we didn't even talk about. He's neurodivergent and proud, credits his ADHD as a superpower, and has done some amazing things all the way to basically creating not only scaling organizations, transforming them, but he is a big lover of integrating AI to unlock human potential. DK, welcome. Happy to have you on the show, man.
thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be here. I've been listening to the show a lot to prepare for the show. I'm so glad that I found it. Big fan. Big
Love
fan.
it, man.
Yeah.
Love the endorsement. I didn't even pay him to say that. That's
You
the
did
cool
not.
thing.
The work
And
you're doing where you do the live demos and your literacy is so important, and you seem to understand that, and it's value that individuals and enterprises alike should just tap into. It's free.
love that, man. I appreciate it, man. I truly appreciate that. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about like Aspect, just so folks have some context on what you're doing right now, and then there's a special AI surprise that we cooked up that you're going to share with everybody live. So, if you're not watching this on YouTube, if you're listening, you might want to check it out on YouTube as well, because we're going to show you some really cool things that Daryl has done specifically with AI. So, give us some background, man, on Aspect and what you're doing now.
Yeah, lovely. Aspect's a global leader in contact center workforce productivity technology. We've been in the business since, the early 50s. We're about 52 years old, which is amazing because there's been multiple waves of innovation. There's been a lot of acquisitions that we've made over the years, but we've lost our way a little bit, right? Like as any individual or organization does over time. You pick up assets, right? You acquire new innovation, new individuals come in. There's no founder anywhere to be seen. And once you reach a certain level of scale, we're multiple hundred millions of dollars in revenue. Once you reach a level of scale, it's easy to say, well, we're good on the product side, essentially, right? Like it's maintenance, it's iterative innovation, and it's mostly distribution. And that's what I see at a lot of these more mature organizations. I've spent a lot of time, from a post-merger integration, meaning two organizations coming together and then becoming one after. But what you see at organizations, above 200, 300, 400 million, and then into the billions is they lose this sense of reinvention, that reinvention cycle. And we let it pass us a few times. And I'm really excited because we have a cult-like following around Aspect. I mean, we have served millions and millions and millions and millions of agents over the 52 years. We have over 1 million agents on the platform today. We're globally available and we're just on our next wave of innovation, right? I like Simon Sinek Infinite Game. I get to, hold on to it for a little bit, help it tap back into its core identity of innovation. And it's the most exciting time because we believe in humanity. I mean, we build tools that help employees and workforces become more efficient. And now we get to, with intelligence and the way that we can harness technology in today's environment, we can provide efficiency and effectiveness and engagement. And I call this the and at scale strategy. No more satisficing or making trade-offs because we don't have to anymore. And that just comes from really good design. And while we are investing heavily in technology, we are spending more time than ever on diagnoses, paying attention, observational and situational awareness, market awareness, talking to agents, talking to brands, paying attention to nuances more than we ever have, so we can show up and be a formidable partner for our customers today and in the future, right? Customers invest in SaaS. We're a SaaS company. That's not a one-time investment. That's an ongoing investment. And so the product should be exponentially better at the end of your contract than it was when you bought it. So then we can retain you. And that's the goal, is to continue to earn value from our customers and earn trust from our customers.
Well, love that innovation mindset that you have for a really big company, right? So compared to most, and bringing that and infusing that, I think that's going to drive wild results. And then, like, let's face it, like there was a survey that I think was done through Deloitte or PricewaterhouseCoopers, and it was done with over, I think, 3,400 CEOs. So obviously bigger companies, and this was in during Davos is when it was released. And so what they said is, I think it was 44% or 46% of CEOs said that they don't see, if they don't infuse AI in they're doing, they will not have a company anymore in 10 years. Right. And that was like 46% or 44%. So obviously it's the table stakes now to keep up with everything. And with what you're doing on the personal side with AI, which is related to the executive side, is what I'm super excited for you. So can you share with us, first of all, before you start sharing, just give us a little context on what you're about to show, how you created it, and then what kind of results it's producing for you. And then we'll get into it and share it with everybody on the show.
Sure, I'd love to. Can't believe we're doing this. I'm actually I'm very nervous to see what comes up.
Well, it's yeah. You do a live demo like what I do all the time, where I'm like, "Oh, this shit's not working the way it's supposed to," right?
Yeah, it'll be like Elon Musk, like with this will never break, and then something's gonna happen. But we'll have fun with it. I think, yeah, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be a good use case for others to see how they can unlock the best sides of themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what this is about. I've been a processor, ultra processor, basically my whole life, and about 15 years ago, a therapist said, "Hey, you do a lot of ruminating. What do you think about writing that rumination out?" I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, are you kidding me? Like, I don't journaling, that stuff, and so I got a notebook, right? I made it super simple. I got one of those composition notebooks that you use in school that for some reason I associated that with journal because that's maybe my first grade teacher said this is what a journal is. You can't rip the pages out. So you just go.
Mm-hmm.
So I started writing, and found that I loved it. It was an opportunity to slow my thoughts down because you can only write so fast. And so it really slowed the rumination down. And so I filled one notebook up and was terrified to read it back. My therapist at the time said, "You should read it back. You should do it." And I did. And the amount of awareness that I unlocked from that was extraordinary. And from just reading it back, correction started happening in my life. Forgiveness started happening for myself and for others around me. And that was, I don't know, geez, how long did it take to fill that first notebook? Maybe 6, 7, probably a year. I should be honest. It's probably a year. It probably took a year because I didn't do it every day. I didn't have a practice. Since then, I have been journaling nearly every day, often multiple times a day. 11 years ago, I switched over to digital as the primary journal. Now, I still keep journals everywhere, written journals, because I do think it is important to have written journals. And I love these journals. I'm not a sponsor of Dingbat journals, but they're the perfect size for me. And they have a little bit of, there's like a whimsical nature to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that it invites me into the space in a meaningful way. So I switched over to Day One as my primary vehicle for journaling because it also had a function where I could do voice journals. And it didn't have voice to text transcription then, but you could leave notes for yourself. And I said, oh, this would be cool. Kind of create a time capsule and archive. When I die, someone can go back and listen to my voice and see the things that I wrestle with. And I grew up without a dad. So I was like, that would be really cool. I'm very present in my kid's life, but how cool would it be to really know what I thought about them and some of those small moments that you just missed, right? They say the
Yeah.
days are long, but the years are fat, or the years are short. And so I kind of just treated it as like it is also a gift for my kids. I've been a fan of artificial intelligence for a while, back when it was automation and machine learning and deep learning and covent nets. And it was one of those things where I would read a few books and then forget about it for a while and read a few books and forget about it for a while. And then, let's say 2019, I read a brilliant book, and I'm going to blank on the name, but it's called Artificial Intelligence by Melanie. We'll have to leave it in the comments or whatever, but it was a really
Okay.
good book. Do you know which one I'm talking about? It's like the silver backed book. It's at home, but great book. And it just brought me back to the seasonality of AI because she opens it up and she goes, summer, winter, spring, right? And you're like, yeah, okay, cool. Like this was good. The way she structured it up brought me back to, I guess, this intrigue that I've had around AI and models. And I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, I had this odd thought, well, what would it look like if I created a model that was based off of my journal? And unfortunately, the technology wasn't fully there yet.
Mm-hmm.
This was before what version is it that launched on GPT?
401 you're talking about, or 40?
No, it was three. It was three or
3.5.
two,
3.5.
3.5. Yeah, this was before 3.5. And that's when large language models got really good, scary good. And as soon as 3.5 launched, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm going to do it. And so at first I did it, and I was on a non enterprise account. And, even though you say like, don't share, I
Mhm.
wasn't fully comfortable sharing my entire journal. So like I censored some things out. That's just like, that's my life. That was just going to be out there. Training models are being accessible somehow. But now the enterprise functionality makes it very unique for the environment. And so now that I can create my own custom GPT, it's not shared to train. I fed my entire journal to it.
Nice.
And then I set up the motivations for it. And I wrote, I don't know, probably 15 to 20,000 words, very nuanced words about my motivations and my goals. Basically, if you go all the way back to AlphaGo, and as AI starts to defeat chess champions and check, it's a game, right? There's game theory underneath all of it where there's rules to the game. It's somewhat of a controlled environment. And so I try to take that exact same approach and apply it to what I was looking for as it relates to the way I wanted to interact with this model.
Let's show it. Let's see it, man.
Let's
Like
do
you're,
it because I'll
you're,
keep
you're
going about it because it's a thing. Great job. All right, I should share my screen now.
you got to share. Yeah, and
All
you're.
right,
I looked up the book. I think you're talking about Artificial Intelligence: A Guide for Thinking Humans by Melanie Mitchell. Does that sound right?
that's the book. That's
Okay,
the
I
book.
looked it up while you were pulling that up. So, anyways,
While I
that's
was
the
on my
book.
tangent, so by the way, I am a tangential person, so I'm glad you did that because I would have been in there for a while. All right, we're in it. You tell me.
This is awesome, man. Yeah. So give us, and like, I got almost like, this is what happens. I'm getting older. My eyes freaking stink now. So walk us through, man. Like, I'm going to throw these on. You're going to have the glare. You can make fun
That's
of
okay.
old man.
I can read. You want me
Perfect.
to? I'll read it. I can read it. I can read
I
it.
got it. I got it, man. Okay. So strategic advisor, life coach, mentor. All right. So walk us through how you use this. This is like super cool, right? Now, your own custom GPT. I love that you basically game theory or game engine to it, right? You also have like built-in motivations, and then it sounds like 11 years of journaling, which is wild. So walk us through some examples of how you use it on a day-to-day basis. Would love to see that.
Yeah, so it always starts in the beginning of the day. So I started a new chat thread so you don't see all of my junk that comes up in the history. And then also memory was a big thing that changed the dynamic for the model as well. I should have talked about that because earlier models didn't have memory. And so it made it very complex to have transfer knowledge and continuity. We're at like, in my opinion, peak right now. I know it gets better from here, but we're at peak. All right. So every day it starts with my typical journal prompt. I'm an early morning processor, and I just start typing. I open my journal and just start typing what's on my mind, what I dreamt about, what did I wake up a few times, and then it usually turns into some type of theme. And then I'll follow that theme, whether it's about a challenging conversation that I had with my daughter. Last night, I have a 14-year-old daughter, which is a challenge in itself. We have a whole section in the journal about raising a daughter. And so it'll start with the prompt, and then it'll start with my initial input for the day. Then that'll turn that into a prompt and feed it into the engine, and then just start engaging from there. That's like how I start the day. As the day goes on, as I'm navigating hard things, as I'm like, wow, what was that? I go to the journal, right? It's like this concept. I have a background in,
We'll do this,
yeah.
man. Go from like how you would start,
You,
and you can make up a scenario. It doesn't need to be
why don't
about.
you make it up? You make it up. Let's play with it. Let's play.
So let's say I woke up in the morning, and here, let's try this one because this is like timely and relevant. Like OpenAI just released deep research, which could replace 5% of human work, according to Sam Altman. Like how should I approach this for our business, right? And life.
Ooh, okay. So you're gonna go there. All right. So there's some nuance to this because
Or we could just do it for one or the other, right?
no, that's okay. That's
Like I was just
processing.
thinking through this because, like, dude, he did that. He put that in a tweet where he's like, I think he could replace single digit all economically valuable work by this single model. And I use it. It's pretty detailed, man. It's only in the Pro, which is a $200 a month. But so what if you're listening and you're not seeing Daryl's running it out, and he's the cool thing about it is he's writing about deep research and how it's got him. He's infusing emotion based language, like it's spiraling around this concept about human to about intelligence, I should say, replacing work. So I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to stay here?
Yeah. Just start with that, man.
Okay.
So you'll have this thought, you'll pop it in here, which is I'm a processor in the morning. I journal every morning too. So go ahead and hit go. Let's see
All
what
right,
it
so
has.
here let's go. Let's be for real. Okay, so let's enter into a
Okay, so you're doing that so it becomes your therapist, right?
yeah.
Ah. Okay, interesting. All right, so now it's going through the entire knowledge base. You can see it within the GPT, and it's looking up some examples. Okay, so basically, how GPT is responding is it's going through. Let's break down the session. Let's look at intelligence versus work. What's really happening, and then oh, look at this, man! It's getting deep. It's like okay, this
That's
is
what
where
I'm
you're
really
talking.
afraid of. What may come
Yeah,
out
you're
here.
afraid. You're like, oh shit, what's gonna come out? Don't worry, we can edit it or blur it out.
Okay, so but I think this is an appropriate example because I've trained and put a lot of hours into giving it feedback, right? As much as I'm giving it input, I have to give it feedback as well in terms of my preferences and how I want it to respond or how I want it to think about things in terms of framing. And so when you think about what's happening here, I've talked a lot about transfer information. And so what I gave a whole document about nuances and transfer information. And so what I've basically in teaching it is to be multidimensional as it relates to when I say something about work, that may not just be work, there may be a personal fear, a personal motivation underneath it. And so help me understand the context, right? And so you can see because of some recency bias, you can see that like in you bring order to complexity and systems to vision, you can tell that I've been talking about that somewhere
Mm-hmm.
over the past few weeks. And so it's trying to pick up on that theme and identify if there's correlation between the pattern. I don't know. You tell me what you want me to read about
Well,
it. Yeah.
like no, so it's a real question for you. So it talks about like it's really interesting. So go to the top a little bit.
Okay.
So basically, it kind of recaps what it said, like, and it basically deconstructs what you mean. And then here's where it's interesting. Go down a little bit. It says
Yep.
where this conversation is really leading, and it basically tries to give meaning behind the words. And then it ends with the real question for you is, and then go down, and it like asks like the old way is becoming of work is becoming obsolete. How do you define your next frontier of mastery? Is the ability to use intelligence as leverage, teaching others how to navigate this shift, or is it something entirely new? So why don't you just respond like, let's go with number two. It's teaching others how to navigate this shift
Okay.
and see what it
Um,
says.
so first thing, real quick.
So you're talking to it like it's a human, like very
Yes. Yeah.
polite.
Very natural language. More there. This may be about, and sorry, I'm doing this on the fly. So this is a bit more
Yeah,
than
we didn't rehearse this at all. So, and we didn't even talk in advance. I'm just like, dude, this is really cool. You should show people
all right. So if then the initial fear, great
because I,
job.
yeah, because I created an AI CEO myself and I've helped other people. So I was like, oh, this is pretty sweet, sweet topic to
I
go through.
would say it's more about teaching others also.
Okay, so just to narrate what he's saying, he's like, thanks for recognizing. I'd say more it's about teaching others. Also, you have a lot of structure here. I want you to go fully in a conversational mode. Okay, and he says, remember, we're right next to each other. So very interesting how you're nudging it to be a buddy or be human
Yeah,
like.
because sometimes it's the context it struggles with context
Mm-hmm.
switching just like we as humans do. And before I was on this podcast, I don't know what I was doing, but what I was doing with it required more structure. And so you can see it dropped all the headers and it's now focusing on less questions because when I say living room session, I want it to be very conversational. So then that way it incentivizes me to be conversational back to it. And really all that's about is trying to provide as much nuance to the model as possible. If it's super structured, we censor ourselves, right? We feel like we're answering a question
Mm-hmm.
instead of stream of consciousness. And really, what this is about is trying to give it as much context as possible. So then you can see it drop the structure and it went into talking. So you're saying it's more about teaching others, helping people navigate this shift where intelligence is becoming the new leverage instead of just raw effort. I don't know. You tell me where you want to go with this.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So now we got an element of the personal aspect. Now let's go into work and say, like, all right, like, how can I leverage this to lead my team better? Maybe just keep it short and sweet. And let's see where it goes with that because this is like now we're switching from like, all right, you're helping me understand like what this means to me. Now can I how can I apply it, right? And so what Daryl's doing is he's putting in there, how can I lead my team better? Do you see any immediate opportunities in case you can't read that, right?
Yeah, and I never write this short to it. That is something that you should know. My characters are multi-paragraph when I'm engaging with it. So this is actually really interesting to have such short inputs.
Do you use the audio version too? So you just talk to it then, I take it?
Both, it depends.
Okay. Okay. I like this. This is pretty good, man.
Okay, so this is this is where it's getting like really, because I talk to it about my team constantly, right? Because I journal a lot.
Hmm.
So when I'm struggling with a leader, or I'm like, oh, that was a weird interaction, or I had a really great interaction, I also feed this back to the model. So the context that it's having isn't generalized. It's very specific to the environment that I'm in. I bet you it may give a name. No, okay, good. I was hoping that it did give it.
Okay. So go up while it's building out. So, or back to where you started. Yes, immediate opportunities. So here's what the model is recommending: shift their focus from output to leverage. I love that. Most people are conditioned to equate hard work with value. They need to redefine success, celebrate leverage instead of just work. That's awesome. I love that concept. Number two, AI assisted decision making as a skill. I'm gonna like I'm gonna put that in my pipe and smoke it, even though I don't smoke, and use that. That's pretty freaking cool. Uh, it's basically create a rhythm where intelligence is a co-pilot, not a crutch. Give them a new mental model for their work.
Okay, so
Dude,
but
this
this
is
is where it's
good.
getting really specific. Right now, your team probably sees their roles as doers. We've been talking a lot about this concept of as we scale as a business, they
Mhm.
came in and they were like rolling their teams up, player coach thing. And now, as we start to have a lot more inertia, I'm in this phase of needing to help them shift into a different season. And so it knows that because this is some nuance that we talk about.
Okay. So love that. And then like let's go to immediate opportunity. That's the next phase. Run an experiment instead of make a philosophy, make it. This is exactly like advice I would give to someone on this topic because this is literally what I do. So, but like this has got some really good concepts in it. How can we make it 10 easier or eliminate it entirely using intelligent systems and automation? That is such a cool statement. Once again, I'm going to steal that. Does two things: it makes leverage as a part of their job, and it gives them a win to prove intelligence isn't a threat. It's a tool they control. That is so freaking cool. Okay, so now what Daryl's doing is he's saying, be more specific. Is there any one thing I could focus on for one individual? Maybe put don't name them.
Well, we can edit it out. I just really want to, because I'm really not this short with it. So it's interesting to see how it reverted out of living room section and went back to this like structured bullet points.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your natural communication style? It's on. I bet you're high I,
Yeah.
an S
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Very high I. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's I'm a high D, which is very direct. So that
Ah,
shows the shift. You're more okay. So what do you think of this next one?
geez, man, I really hope the team doesn't look at this because it did not give a name. But I think, all right, well, the individual, you're looking at it. But, anyways, yeah, this is interesting because yeah, I think I'm giving away like our entire like focus of a strategy point of view right now, but that's okay. It's fine.
Well, it's I mean, here's the thing, dude. Like this is like I said, break the old system, like decision making. But I mean, this is normal big company stuff. This isn't anything. I mean, but that's I mean, I think it's sharp. I mean, do you like the insights from this or no? Is this valuable to you as a CEO?
Yeah. I want to try to find an example that is, you keep going wherever we're going to go with this, because clearly we're off the cuff now. But I do want to find an example that has a lot of nuance to it because, like, man, I don't even think that this has really captured the full power. But let's just keep talking. And
Well,
if I find one
yeah,
that's
man. If you need
appropriate,
to take
yeah.
a second, too, what we could do is here's what we'll do. So we're gonna end right now. This went way longer than I normally do for a show, but I'm gonna give Daryl like a couple minutes to basically have a chance to throw what he wants in there. So I'm not just like on the fly, like type this, right? and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna share what he came up with because this is like surface level stuff according to him. So I think you're gonna be blown away by episode 2. So
I
why don't
think I
we?
have one too, so I'm
Okay,
ready when you
okay.
are. So it'll
So
be good.
stop sharing.
Yep.
Let's end the episode today, and then we'll come back, and you'll be wanting to see part 2 for the big cliffhanger of what he's about to share. So thanks for being on, Gerald. Where can people
A lot of
find you?
fun.
Can they find more about Aspect?
Yeah, most of my rants and engagements are on LinkedIn. And then if you want a more personal connection with me, darylkelly.com, that's where I share. I've been starting to write, which is a very challenging process to just like write and then put it out there and then have everyone judge you for your writing. But yeah, darylkelly.com or linkedin.com/darylkelly or
Awesome, man.
aspect.com for aspect.
Thanks for being on the show, and we
Thanks for
will
having
see
me.
you on the next episode.